Patron. We're really lost. We've been walking around for hours. I lost my shoe. We found some old truck.
A truck? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
What's happening, guys? Supernova here, back with another video. Just a reminder, I'm still doing a giveaway for a PS5 Disc Edition, but time to win is running out because I'm going to be selecting a winner the first week of November. So if you'd like to be eligible to win, all you have to do is sign up for my Patreon at the $10 level, and like I said, I'll be picking the winner first week of November so I can get it shipped out to them in time for Christmas. Links in the description. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into this review. I gotta say, when I first saw Gotham Knights, when I first saw gameplay a while back, I was interested, right? The game looked interesting to me. It looked like it would be a fun time. Didn't look like it was doing anything crazy or anything mind-blowing, but like I said, it looked like a fun time, and it was a game that I was looking forward to playing. And then the reviews came out, and it seemed that almost every reviewer hated this game, was talking about how bad this game is, how terrible this game is, how you shouldn't buy this game, recommended not buying this game. And I just gotta say, for me, just like Tony Soprano talking to Paulie Walnuts in the intro, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because for me, Gotham Knights was a great game. I enjoyed Gotham Knights. Again, was it amazing? No. Was it blowing me away at every turn? No. But it doesn't change the fact that for me, it was a great game that I actually enjoyed playing more than I thought I would. And I just don't know what game these professional reviewers played, because the game I played I thought was great. The only thing I can think of is maybe they played as the wrong character, because in Gotham Knights there are 4 Gotham Knights, 4 playable characters that you can play at any time, swap out at any time, and those 4 characters are Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood, and they all play very differently. When I say very, I do mean very differently. Their fighting mechanics are all very different. Their traversal mechanics are all very different and unique to each character, to the point where, depending on what character you're playing as, the time trials in the open world are completely different, because their traversal mechanics are completely different. And I think that playing as certain characters, like if someone started off as a certain character and decided they were going to play the whole way through as that character, I think the game could have not been as fun for them had they picked another character. Like, I played the game as Batgirl, and I honestly think that that was the best choice, at least for me, because I felt that Batgirl has the best combination of both fighting mechanics and traversal mechanics, because for some of these characters, I think the traversal mechanics are horrible. Like Robin's traversal mechanic, I think is absolute dog shit. It's not fun to use. It's just, I don't like it. His traversal mechanic is a teleportation. It's hard to explain. You'd have to actually see it or play it, but trust me, Robin's traversal mechanic is by far the worst of all of them, in my opinion. But I'm getting ahead of myself with the characters. We'll come back to the characters. I want to first start talking about the game, and let's talk about the elephant in the room regarding this game, right? Because I played on console, I played on PlayStation 5, and what's the big elephant in the room surrounding this game and consoles? Gasp! It's locked at 30 frames per second. Oh, the amount of videos I've seen of people just crying about this game being locked at 30 frames per second. Like, if they were to play this game at 30 frames per second, their fucking eyes would bleed and fucking explode inside their heads. Or like, if they were to play this game at 30 frames per second, they would catch the fucking eye equivalent of fucking gonorrhea or some shit. Like, I don't understand what the big fucking deal is. Okay, like, I get it. Options are nice, and it would be nice to have a performance mode that does 60 frames per second. I get it. I know there are lots of people out there that they want to play on at least 60 frames per second, and they don't want to play on anything less than that. I get it. Alright? But I'm here to tell you, I played this game at the ungodly 30 frames per second, and guess what? My eyes, they still fucking work. Okay? Like, let's be real for a second, right? Let's be real for a second. These same reviewers, these same people played games like Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, God of War, and Spider-Man Last Generation on PlayStation 4, games that were all locked at 30, and that somehow didn't deter them from loving these games, that somehow didn't deter them from enjoying these games, that somehow didn't deter them from saying these are some of the greatest games of the generation, from saying that God of War is one of the greatest games ever made. That lock 30 somehow wasn't a hindrance when they played these games. Now all of a sudden that games can do 60, now they're fucking frame rate snobs, right? Like, I don't understand why this was such a big fucking deal. Do I understand why the game is locked at 30? No, I don't. Do I think it should be able to do 60? Yes, I do. Am I a developer? No. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know if the reason that WB Montreal gave us is a legit reason or bullshit. I don't know. All I know is that for all the pissing, moaning, and complaining about this game being locked at 30, I think it's a massive, massive overreaction. Because I think if you sat down and played this game at the lock 30 on console, you really wouldn't have any issues. Like, honestly, the only time I really noticed the frames dipping is anytime you would fast travel and it would play the kind of animation of the beginning of the fast travel. That was the only time you saw some kind of stuttering, and then after that, it was pretty much okay. Again, I can't speak to the other consoles, but that was my experience on PS5. But anyway, now that that's out of the fucking way, let's get into the actual game and not this bullshit. First off, I want to say that this game starts off with one of the most epic opening cinematics I've seen in a long-ass while. It's this epic battle with fucking Bruce Wayne and Ra's al Ghul in the Batcave that I was like, wow, this is really fucking cool. Like, this is how the game is starting. Not a bad start. Like I said, it is honestly one of the most epic, badass opening cinematics I've seen. After that is obviously the point where you get to pick what character you're going to play as. And like I said before, 4 Gotham Knights: Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and Red Hood. Each character has different fighting mechanics, different weapons, and different traversal mechanics. For Batgirl, her fighting mechanics are very kind of taekwondo, kicks, and martial artsy type stuff, kind of almost a mix between Batman and Spider-Man, and her weapon is a tonfa. Her traversal mechanic is her cape. She can glide, and then she can grapple to things, and then jump off grapple points to continue to glide with her cape. If you're playing as Robin, Robin has a bow staff that he fights with. His combat is also very martial arts-like, very much kind of like Batgirl's. I think they both have the best fighting mechanics. I think in terms of best fighting mechanics, it goes Batgirl, then Robin, then Nightwing, then Red Hood. But Robin's traversal mechanics, in my opinion, are the worst in the game. They are a teleportation method, which to me just doesn't work well. It's not fun. It's hard to explain, but if you were to see it in motion, you'd be like, yeah, that looks weird. It's kind of like you hold the trigger that, you know, is the same to make Batgirl glide, but instead of gliding with Robin, you instantly disappear, and then you're kind of like this floating orb moving through space, and you can change elevation as you're moving through space, and then there's a timer in the corner where you can only teleport for a short distance, and once the timer is up, you'll then pop back into existence wherever you are. It's weird. It doesn't work well. I didn't have fun using it. In my opinion, it's the worst of all 4 characters. Then you have Nightwing. Nightwing has these kind of batons that he fights with. His fighting style is more kind of acrobatic, bouncing around, jumping around, but it doesn't feel fun. But his traversal mechanics are by far the best in the game because he has this mechanical glider that he hangs from. And since the mechanical glider has engines, he can actually change elevation up or down. You basically just fly around the entire map on this, mechanical glider. Whereas with Batgirl, since she's just gliding with her cape, she's constantly losing elevation, right? You can kind of dive down and then pull back up to try to gain some elevation again, but you're fighting gravity the whole time, so you're really having to grapple a lot to be able to jump off of things, or grapple to higher elevation to jump off to continue to glide, and you're constantly having to do that. Glide, grapple, jump, glide some more, grapple, jump, glide some more, whereas Nightwing's just like, fucking just gonna cruise around Gotham on my fucking mechanical glider forever, right? There's no limitations to it. And then even with Robin, with his teleportation, it's limited by time, right? It teleports you for a little bit, and then boom, pops you into existence, and then you have to teleport again. So by far, in my opinion, Nightwing's is the best traversal mechanic because it's just the easiest to use. After that is Red Hood. Red Hood's fighting style, he's just kind of like a bruiser brawler, and then he has guns that he uses a lot. Like his guns are almost used more than his actual punches. And then his traversal mechanic is this thing they call Mystical Leap. Basically, you just kind of jump from magical floating pad to magical floating pad. If you can think kind of how Miss Marvel moved around in the fucking Miss Marvel show, it's kind of like that. You just kind of hold R2 and go in whatever direction you want, and he just leaps from magical floating pad to magical floating pad. So if I were to go best fighting mechanics from best to worst, it goes Batgirl, then Robin, then Nightwing, then Red Hood. And then for traversal, best to worst is Nightwing, then Batgirl, then Red Hood, and then Robin. So since Batgirl for me is number one in fighting mechanics and number two in traversal mechanics, like I said, that's what makes her the best of both worlds for me. But you may have a completely different viewpoint on that. I'm just telling you how I feel. Now, the first mistake I think that this game makes is that in the beginning, it locks your traversal ability behind what they call a Knighthood. There's different challenges and things the game has, but one of the first challenges it gives you is this thing called the Knighthood challenges. And there are these unique things you need to do to unlock your traversal mechanic, which I think is kind of dumb. Like, why not give you the traversal mechanic from the get-go? That means that for the initial portion of the game, your only ways of getting around are either just grapple hooking, that's it, just grapple hooking, or your bat cycle. And I gotta be honest, the bat cycle, not as fast as you would think a bat cycle is. Like, whenever you're on your bat cycle, it's making the noise of you going fast. There's little white wispy lines in the corners of the screen to try to simulate you going fast. But you honestly are not moving that fast. So both the grapple and the bike are not that fast. But yeah, it locks your traversal behind this Knighthood. So once you do the set of things to unlock the traversal mechanic, then you have it. The issue with this is when you play through the game, like if I play through the game and I'm already at level 30 with Batgirl, which I'm pretty sure is the cap. Now if I want to play as Robin and I go and select Robin, my Robin is already level 30. When you switch characters, they are already the level that you are with your other character. Awesome, right? That way you don't have to replay through everything, like all the points you unlock for your skills when you play as a character. If you switch to a new character, however many points you had, guess what? Now that character already has. You don't have to start unlocking shit all over again with that character. Awesome. With the exception of the traversal mechanic. Why? I don't know. So yeah, I played as Night Girl, got to level 30, beat the game, unlocked my traversal mechanic, went to play as a different character, was able to put all my skill points that I unlocked into the skill tree. That character was level 30, but guess what? That character does not have his traversal mechanic. Why? I have to do the Knighthood for that character. And it's just like, I don't understand why they made this choice. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. I mean, does it take that long to do the Knighthood? No. But I mean, you got to do this timed training for combat in your training thing. And then you have to go into the world and stop, I think, 10 what they call premeditated crimes, and then defeat 3 mini-bosses. But yeah, you have to do this for every character just to get their traversal mechanics, which in my opinion should have been fucking unlocked from the get-go. So starting off right there, that's a small gripe that I have. But honestly, again, it's not that big a deal. It's just one of those choices that had they not gone that route and just let you have the traversal mechanics to begin with, I think the game would be a little bit better than having to redo it for all the characters. Because obviously you want to try all the characters, but to go from your character who has the traversal mechanic unlocked into a new character to now have to start by unlocking the traversal mechanic, kind of a pain in the ass. But again, not that bad. Now, once you're out in the open world, it's not the best that we've seen, but it's also not the worst that we've seen, right? It's just, it's not as good as the map in the Arkham games, as the open world in the Arkham games. But this is something that I've seen a lot of reviewers do, and that I'm already guilty of doing myself a couple times, that I'm not going to do for the remainder of this video. And that's comparing a game made by fucking WB Montreal to a game made by who?
And we begin to rock, steady, steady rocking all night long. And we begin to rock, steady, rocking till the break of dawn.
Fucking Rocksteady Games. Now, is it fair to compare WB Montreal to Rocksteady Games? Of course it's fair to compare them. But to expect WB Montreal to make a game as good as Rocksteady, or knock WB Montreal for making a game not as good as Rocksteady, that I don't think is fair, because I don't think WB Montreal is on the level of a Rocksteady. That's like knocking some third-party developer who's not known for making amazing games for not making a game to the level of a Naughty Dog or a Rockstar. It's like, well, why would you expect them to make a game at that level, right? So, like I said, I think comparing them is fair, but I think to expect WB Montreal to hit Rocksteady levels is not fair. I think to knock WB Montreal, or to knock this game because it's not as good as a Rocksteady game, that I don't think is fair. Is it fair to point it out? Yes. I don't think it's fair to knock the game for not being as good as a Rocksteady game. I just don't. And it's something you're going to see a lot of people doing. I don't think it's quite fair, and for that reason, for the rest of this video, I'm not going to compare this game to the Arkham games. I'm going to grade this game, I'm going to talk about this game, I'm going to critique this game on itself, without comparing it to Rocksteady's games or to Spider-Man. Now, one major thing about this game that I do not understand, and it makes no sense to me, and I don't know if this is true on all consoles, but at least on the PlayStation 5, there is a massive lack of feedback when you're playing this game. And when I say feedback, I mean tactile feedback from the controller. Like, when you're fighting and you're hitting people, what does the controller do? Nothing. When you get hit, what does the controller do? Nothing. When you're riding your motorcycle, what does the controller do? Nothing. When you hit things when you're on your motorcycle, what does the controller do? Nothing. And I don't understand that, because the fighting in this game, it would feel a whole lot better if there was some type of tactile sensation that you got from either landing hits or getting hit. And it's strange because in the cutscenes, there'll be tactile feedback in the cutscenes, right? Your character gets hit in the cutscene, you're going to feel it. Your character jumps off of something or an explosion happens, and you're going to feel it in the cutscene. But then once you get to the actual game, nothing. No feedback, no rumble, nothing. As a matter of fact, the only time your controller does anything is when you tap down to go into the augmented reality mode, the AR mode. It does a little kind of real quick whoop, as you're going into AR mode. That's it. Outside that, the controller does nothing. And I think that had the game had some type of tactile feedback or rumble or vibration as you're landing blows or getting hit or shooting guns or firing your grapple hook, that it would make the game feel a whole lot better, because since you're not getting any of that feedback, it does make the gameplay feel a little dead. I mean, it's something that you get over pretty quickly, but at least for me in the very beginning, I was like, this game would feel so much better if there was some type of rumble, and I don't understand why there isn't. I don't know if that's something that they forgot, something they didn't code, if it's a bug. I don't know. But it's weird that they went through the effort of putting it into the cutscenes when you're just watching, but then not putting it into the game when you're actually playing. I don't know. Confuses the shit out of me, but yeah, and again, I don't know if that's true on other consoles. I don't know if it works that way on PS4 or on Xbox consoles, but I can tell you on PS5, there is zero feedback from almost anything you fucking do aside from using your AR. I also gotta say that there were some of these side quests in this game that I thought were really fucking good. You have a side quest, for example, that revolves around Harley Quinn. You had side quests that revolve around Clayface. around Mr. Freeze, and I thought that these side quests were interesting, they were fun. Also, all the cinematics in the game, just like in the opening sequence, are done very well. They're well acted. The fight choreography for the characters in these cinematics is really fucking cool. I really enjoyed a lot of the missions in this game. And I've heard reviewers talking about how they felt like they had to grind to get through this game. I didn't have to grind to get through the game, but that could be because of a difference in play styles. Like, they may have just been powering through the campaign, trying to finish the game so they could review it. And if that's the case, they may have come up against some grinding, because, for example, if I just did a mission for the Mr. Freeze side quest, where the recommended level was between like 13 and 15, the next mission in that side quest tree may be levels 20 to 25, right? Sometimes there is a jump that large, but there's so many other things to do, and you don't have to focus just on the Mr. Freeze quest. I can go back and do missions where the level cap is lower, right? Like, I don't have to try to sit there and do that mission right at that time. But there is going to be times where you'll see that the recommended level jumps or is higher than where you're at. But for me, this wasn't really an issue, because I'm the type of gamer that I like to clear everything off the map. So the way I would play is that I would clear everything off the map and then return to the Belfry. The Belfry is your kind of main headquarters. It's this clock tower that's kind of in the middle of the map. And once you go to the Belfry, it'll update any things that you did while you were out doing, you know, your crime fighting. And then when you go back out into the world, there'll be new crimes for you to fight, new crimes for you to stop, new murders for you to investigate. So I would, you know, leave the Belfry, go out, start at the top of the map, work my way down, clearing everything off the map, doing whatever missions were available on the map, and then return to the Belfry. And I enjoyed this gameplay loop of going out, clearing shit off the map, going back to the Belfry, seeing what things I could craft, what upgrades I had. So for me, I never really reached a point where I needed to grind to get to a particular level, because I was naturally leveling up while out doing all these crimes and stopping all these crimes and things. But like I said, if they were just powering through the campaign, they definitely would have hit a wall where they would have to have grind to reach the recommended level to continue in the campaign. I don't know if that's what they did, or I don't know if that's what happened to them. But, you know, for me, really wasn't that bad, because I was leveling up naturally by doing all these other things. Now, one other thing that I don't understand, which really didn't make any sense to me, was that you can craft suits, weapons, and ranged weapons on the fly while you're out in the open world, right? And you collect materials that you need to create these suits, to craft these suits, to craft these weapons. And these materials are given as rewards for completing missions or stopping crimes, and they're also given in chests that you find all throughout the open world. What doesn't make sense to me is that after you craft this suit or this weapon or this ranged weapon, it then gets sent to the Belfry. Like, you can't craft it and then equip it. If you want to equip it, you have to stop what you're doing, go to the Belfry, and only there can you equip it. And this doesn't make any sense to me. The only thing I could think of for why the dev did this is because there's a 3D printer in the Belfry. So maybe the devs are saying, you know, your weapons, your armor, it's being 3D printed at the Belfry, and therefore you have to go to the Belfry to get it. And okay, I understand that. But at the same time, the materials I'm collecting are out here in the open world. So if I just collected some material that now lets me craft this suit, how did the materials get to the Belfry if I haven't been there yet? Right? How was I able to craft it if I haven't been there yet? So either way, it doesn't make any sense. But to have you need to stop what you're doing and travel to the Belfry in order to equip a suit or equip a weapon that you just crafted, all it does is really just kind of slow the game down a little bit. Because while you're out and about doing these crimes, solving these, murders and stuff in the open world, you're just kind of on a roll, knocking one out, bam, 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 bam. To have to stop and go back to the Belfry is just added load times, unnecessary in my opinion. I think that letting you just craft it and equip it on the fly would have gave the game a better flow. It was to the point where I didn't craft anything until I was at the Belfry. Because there was no point, right? I'm going to craft a suit now that I can't even use. I can't use it until I go to the Belfry. And normally by the time I'm done doing what I'm doing, and then I go to the Belfry, now I can already craft a better suit. So all I did was waste materials on the suit I crafted 20 minutes ago. So it got to the point where I would clear the map and then only craft things at the Belfry because I knew that the things I was crafting at that time are currently the best items I can craft versus crafting something in the open world, not going to the Belfry right away because I don't feel like stopping right now. I want to clear all this shit off the map, and then going back to the Belfry to now have something better I can craft available. Again, like I said, it's one of these weird decisions that I think just kind of messes with the flow of gameplay, or makes it to where you're not crafting things as often because anytime you do, you got to stop what you're doing. Weird decision, but hey, that's the decision they made. Also, this game, for the most part, I didn't notice any bugs or glitches. I know my buddy said he had one bug or one glitch that happened to him, but I played with pretty much no problems at all. Pretty much flawless experience, with the exception of this weird glitch during the cutscenes, where if you look at Red Hood's hoodie, the strings on his hoodie, it kind of looks like his hoodie took Viagra. For whatever reason, his hoodie's just bing! And it's like that for 50% of the cutscenes when I played the game. Sometimes his strings are down, and then sometimes his strings were chewing on some blue chew. Bing! It's funny, but yeah, that's really the only thing that I noticed in terms of glitches or bugs was just this weird glitch that occurred during the cutscenes. Other than that, game had no glitches or bugs whatsoever, at least for me. It did have a decent amount of pop-in, though, especially if you're gliding or traversing up in the air where you can see further than when you're down on the ground. You'll see cars pop in, you'll see buildings pop in, you'll see textures, especially textures on things popping in. The game, in that sense, just doesn't seem like it's really well optimized because there is a lot of pop-in for things. But you really only notice it if you're flying up high or gliding or traversing up at a higher level. When you're on the ground, you don't notice it as much, but it is there, and it is something that I noticed. There's also a fair amount of customization in the game when it comes to the characters, because you gotta think every character has multiple suits that they have. I think maybe 10 suits or so. Each character has their own suits, obviously, and then you can change individual items on the suit. So you can change the cowls, you can change the emblems, you can change what your gloves look like, and you can change what your boots look like. And I think there's usually 3 options for each, for every suit. So if you craft a suit, you can then go in and you have 3 options for the cowl, 3 options for the logo, 3 options for the gloves, and 3 options for the boots. You can then go in further, and there are multiple color variations you can assign to that particular suit. So there is a lot of customization in that sense. You can also do the same thing to your bat cycle. There are 2 different variations of the bat cycle. They're pretty close, to each other. They're not that different, but they are different. And then you can assign different colors to the bat cycle. I will say some of these color variations, a little too similar to each other, though. For example, specifically on the bat cycle, here's a couple color variations for it that I had unlocked. And I want you to tell me if you really notice that much of a difference between these. I mean, are they different? Technically, but come on. Like, these are basically the same fucking bat cycle. Like, are you going to notice this difference as you're cruising around? No. Like, there are a couple of color variations that I think are just too similar. But hey, they didn't have to let us be able to change the colors on the bat cycle at all, so it's still kind of cool. And there are other color variations that are far more dramatic in difference than this, so there's that. There's also one kind of disconnect between gameplay and story in terms of the Gotham Knights are constantly talking about how, Bruce Wayne and Batman had a code that Batman doesn't kill and that they don't kill. And one of the things that comes up multiple times throughout the main campaign is that, they're being asked to kill or thinking about or contemplating killing, but, they don't kill. They don't kill. Batman doesn't kill. That's the code, right? You don't kill. But, Red Hood is straight shooting motherfuckers. Right? Like, okay, Batgirl's got a tonfa, Robin's got his, bow staff, and Nightwing has his little batons, and they're fucking people up. But when those people fall down and stop moving, they could just be knocked out. Is Red Hood using less than lethal ammunition? Because, like I said, he's fucking shooting people. Like, shooting people in the face. So, I'm pretty sure Red Hood is fucking killing people. Also, I said I wasn't going to compare to Arkham or Spider-Man, but I have to in this case, because Spider-Man doesn't kill people either. And if you happen to boot people off a building in Spider-Man, they don't actually hit the ground. You'll see that they get actually webbed to the side of buildings, so they never hit the ground. You can boot them off a skyscraper, they'll immediately get webbed to the side of the buildings, because Spider-Man doesn't kill. That was something that they overlooked in this game. And it's funny because they teach you how to throw people off of things, right? They teach you how to throw people off of shit. But the code is you don't kill. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, here's this dude. I'm going to throw him off the roof. Run around this thing real quick and let's take a look-see. That fucker's dead. That fucking guy is dead. And, like, in the tutorial, there's a tutorial where they teach you how to throw people off of the edge of buildings. So it's like they teach you how to do this. That fucker's dead, but the code is we don't kill. So there's that weird disconnect between gameplay and story. Again, that's a minor gripe, but it is something that I thought was pretty funny when you constantly hear them talking about, oh, we don't kill, oh, Batman doesn't kill, and then straight fucking launching motherfuckers off of the rooftops of buildings for them to plummet to their death. so just something funny. There's also these occasional investigation side quests or investigation portions of missions, and these are really hit or miss, because there are some times where it'll have a bunch of shit on a desk or different items that you can scan around a crime scene, and it'll ask you a particular question or it'll ask you for a particular piece of information. And with the information provided, you're able to piece together what it is that they want, and you're basically solving like a puzzle. And those investigations are actually kind of fun because you're having to scan these documents and figure out, okay, they need this or they need that, or they're talking about this or they need this with this, and these are the things I need to combine to solve whatever this thing is. Those are cool. Then there's other ones where it'll just be a fucking like dead body, and there'll be like a wedding ring and a bullet casing and a prescription drug bottle on the ground and a wallet, and then it'll be like, which piece of evidence tells you where the suspect is? And that's all it asks. And then you'd be like, okay, maybe the fucking shell casing. Nope, that's not it. No, okay, maybe it's the prescription bottle. No, that's not it. And by process of elimination, it'll be like the wedding band. The wedding band is how you know where the suspect is. It's like, but how? Like, it doesn't explain. It just randomly decided for that particular investigation that the wedding band is how you know where the suspect is. No explanation as to why the wedding band. It's almost like it just arbitrarily chose wedding band is what it requires for this particular one. And then you'll come across other murder scenes where it's, dead bodies and investigation, where, again, it's asking, where is the suspect? And next time it may be a bloody handprint, or maybe this or that. But it always feels like it's just some kind of random object, and it doesn't feel like you are actually doing detective work. Whereas there's the investigations where it feels like you're doing detective work. You're piecing together the information, you're looking at the clues, and it's providing some information to help you understand what you need to look at or what is important and what isn't. And then there's these ones where it's like, pick one of these 5 items. One of them is how you know where the suspect is. Which of the 5? No fucking idea. Any clues to which of the 5? Nope. How do you know which one to choose? You don't. You just choose one, and by process of elimination, because you can't fail it, you'll eventually come across the right one. So that's what I mean by they're hit or miss. They're these ones that are actually involve you doing something. There's actual involvement from you in figuring the shit out. And then there's this one where it's like, pick one of these 5 items. One of them is the right one. And that's what I mean by they're hit or miss. When it comes to the other missions, like the crimes you have to stop or missions that are part of quest lines, I found them all to be really fun. The stealth mechanics work really well and are pretty fun to use. Every mission has bonus objectives that if you complete them, you get additional experience or additional rewards. So that's always fun, trying to complete the objectives as well, like get through an entire area without being seen, or take out a particular target with a silent takedown, or take no damage, right? So there's always just a little additional challenge that you can apply to these missions that are always fun to try. And like I said, the missions themselves, the combat itself is fun. The missions themselves I found were fun. Overall, I really enjoyed this game, and I played solo. Like, I can only imagine how much fun it would have been had I played the game co-op. My friend, unfortunately, he didn't want to play at the lock 30. He was being a frame rate snob, right? He actually returned his copy for console because he was like, fuck that, I'm not playing at 30. He also just got a gaming PC, so he was like, I'm going to play on my PC. So because of that, we weren't able to play together because there's no cross-play for this game. So I played solo, and I had a good time. It wasn't, like I said, wasn't the best game I've ever played. But, dude, it was fun. I enjoyed it. The combat was fun. The side quests were fun. The main quests were fun. The stealth was fun. I don't know what the fuck game these reviewers were playing. Are there things about this game that could be better? Absolutely. Are there some decisions made where I sit and think, had they gone a different way, it would have elevated this game? Absolutely. Is this game a horrible game? No fucking way. Is this game a terrible game? A bad game? Do I recommend you not buy this game? No fucking way. Like, I'm not going to say you need to go out and buy this game, but I will say that if you did decide to buy this game, I don't think you're going to regret it. I don't think you're going to say, hey, this game sucks, or I regret buying this game, or I'm sorry I spent the money on this game. Because I think it's a fun game. Like, compared to a game like Avengers, it fucking shits all over Avengers. Nothing about Avengers is fun. Nothing. The combat in Avengers sucks. The gameplay in Avengers sucks. The side missions suck. Right? Like, Avengers to me is a trash game all around. The only thing about that game that is somewhat good is the cutscenes, and that's it. So if you enjoyed Avengers, which I think is a dog shit game, then I think you'll really have a lot of fun with this. And if you didn't like Avengers, I still think you'll really have a lot of fun with this. I think this is a better game than Avengers in almost every fucking way. And it just baffles me that so many people hated on this game. So many people dislike this game. I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm just not seeing it. And you know me, I give zero fucks. If this game was shit, or if this game was trash, or if there was something about this game that I could just go in on, I'd go in on it. You know me. I love to rant. I love to complain about shit. My rant videos are some of my most fun times. My rant videos are some of the content you enjoy the most. If this game gave me the opportunity to make a rant video about how terrible it is, best believe I'd be making a rant video right now. But I'm not, because the game just isn't that bad. If I had to score it, I'd give it a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. It's, between 7 and 8 maybe. Again, I don't know what these people were playing. I don't know what they saw. But for me, I had fun playing Gotham Knights. I don't regret buying Gotham Knights, and I don't think you will either. And if you're really looking for something to play right now to kind of take up the time between now and God of War Ragnarok, I don't think Gotham Knights is a bad way to go. Or you can wait till the 27th and get Modern Warfare 2 if that's more up your alley. But yeah, for me, like I said, I enjoyed Gotham Knights. I think it's quite a bit better than a lot of reviews are giving it credit for. That's all I got for you guys on this one. And that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you want a chance to win that PS5, time is running out. All you have to do is sign up for my Patreon at the $10 level, and I will be selecting the winner the first week of November so I can ship it out to them before Christmas. So yeah, do that if you're interested, and remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next Supernova.